More refreshed than ever. I'm back with my second episode of my ideologies putting together the situation of the nation states, Nigeria. Like a scholar said, Thomas Hobbes, I could be wrong, that said, the tool of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. That is, you cannot oppress me without my permission. You cannot intimidate me without my permission. I must first feel low of myself while saying you that this person is better than me, and I must have given you that access. Or else, if I feel superior myself, no matter how rich you are and you come and I don't feel intimidated, that means that I've denied the oppressor the tool of oppressing me. So, in short, if I'm not giving you an access, you can never be oppressed without your access, without your accessibility. So, it goes back to my quote starting today with the tool of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. See, I also use glasses today. I won't start like scholar. The first episode we had glasses, so as we not use glasses today. Like all scholar will say, but then I'm still on point. Good day, guys. This is my second episode, and I hope my lighting is better than the first. I promised the lighting will get better, so I hope it is a bit better, and I hope we deliver more. And if you've been following my channel, it's about what's it called, compilation. Like this is I'm trying to compile ideologies about the Nigerian state, the present situation we have. I'm not trying to restrict my ideologies, my orientation towards something where I will still cut across religion, education, history, like I said before. And in the past episode, I spoke about what gave rise to the ethnic crisis, which I spoke about the Nigerian Civil War. And in one of those moments, I spoke about Awolowo, that he has been overpraised than he deserved. And I remember that I said I'm going to elucidate about it. You see, okay, let's take it back a bit to the Civil War era. Before the Civil War started, sorry, before the Civil War started, right, there were news brewing up, summing up to the fact that a civil war was inevitable. Ojukwu, which was the leader of the East then, consulted with Awolowo. He was in prison for embezzlement of funds and corruption. And if you do not know, at some point, while Awolowo was leading Action Group then, he needed money. So he was siphoning money from the public funds to maintain that political party. This was what he was imprisoned for. But after then, Baba was packaged like being victimized, and they make it portray like you have to suffer if you are fighting a just cause. But Baba was really guilty of that. Awolowo was guilty of that. That on the side. While Ojukwu visited Awolowo in the prison, he made him understand that these are the situations of things. We want to declare our nation. Awolowo went with him like, oh, this is a very nice thing. Declare your nation. Who will declare Oduduwa nation? When the war started, Yakubu Gowon was the sitting president then. How will I put it? He called Awolowo out of the prison and he gave him a ministerial appointment. I think it was the finance minister, yes. And you see, with all the blabs and everything Awolowo snaked on Ojukwu, even with the arrangement and everything. You see, he has been given power, access to power and everything. So the war started. One of the reasons why I said Awolowo is overpraised. I have a little ideology about international law. And international law stipulates about, it talks about war. When a war is on, there are laws that guide wars. You see, during war, you don't attack journalists. You don't attack unarmed civilian. You don't attack medical teams. And you see, when you're in a political background, they make you understand that conflict is beneficiary, in the sense that we have dispute of interest. We are fighting war. Yeah, even though we are fighting this war, it is a national war of some qualified armed set of people and innocent citizens. At some point, it's inevitable, but it could be curtailed. should not be evolved, if you get my point. So now, so like I said, if there's a war, like when you see, wherever you see a flag with a cross, you don't attack. That represent the medical team. Whenever you see a white flag, this were the law that guides war, that makes it known that where a war gets to a point, a side is accepting to take defeat, they fly the white flag, which shows they've accepted defeat. These are the laws that guide wars. There are laws that guide wars. And one of these laws does not restrict you feeding your opposition, it does not restrict you feeding your opponent. Why the war was on after Awolowo was released and he was appointed the financial minister rather, he advised to go on that you cannot be feeding your enemy. At some point, you can talk about that. But coming from somebody that we had a conversation of coming about our nation, and to a large, it should be known for few people that might not know that I'm a Yoruba guy, and I'm not trying to justify Biafra nation. But if you are being pushed to the wall to an extent, you will be forced to talk, if you understand what I mean. They were treated unfairly. Awolowo, which I will never deny his intellectual asset, was very, very brilliant and very eloquent, and like Tafawa Balewa, he had an oratory skill too, talks well. So with that kind of understanding, you see they thought they had an agreement, and Awolowo was cajoled and drawn nearer with power and freedom, access to money. He snaked on Ojukwu. I've counted two things now. Now, the things our corruption, embezzlement of funds, now sabotaging. Was it? You see, it was fine if when Ojukwu went to meet him, he didn't buy the idea. And he said, "Oh, my friend, I'm not in for this," and he goes ahead with the fight. Boy, you supported him. That on the side, after coming out, you gave an idea to the sitting president. Okay, let's stop feeding these people. Every of the sources food comes in from was restricted. Now France was supporting Biafra because, like I said in my previous episode, it was a power tussle between Britain and France, because they were the two colonial masters splitting the continent. So, and since British had control of Nigeria, if Biafra can come out of it and France can continue to give them more bragging rights, more access to oil and stuff. So France was with them, and even while other countries was attempting to reach out with resources, the Nigerian government were restricting this in regards to Awolowo's advice. Most of the victims of the civil war were children and women and unarmed citizens. You see, you feel that all of them should suffer, right? But in a situation whereby you are a young child, without any decision, you just want to live your life, sleep and wake up, and just have a regular life. You don't have a decision about the Biafra, you don't know what was going on, and you become victimized. Think about the children then. If you have not seen or you have not come across, you can Google it. See how children were starved to death during the Biafra war. Some of the journalists that came outside the country expressed how they have not seen views like that in their lives, even at the Vietnam Wars and a couple of other wars that have happened before the Civil War. Children were being starved to death, extremely starved to death. Now, just like Awolowo, he wasn't dominating totally in the Yoruba land. He has his people that objected him as well. I will drag it back now to this situation of Tinubu. You see, let's say 2 decades from now, after Tinubu might have died, let's say 15 years later, Tinubu followers will come out to portray him as God. And you in the future, or the children in the future, without an in-depth of the history, we assume that Tinubu was the best person. He was the Yoruba leader. We right now have a better understanding of who Tinubu is. The only thing I'll give Tinubu, he has a good blueprint for Lagos to an extent, and is magnanimous. Apart from that, I just feel that he's kleptomaniac in nature, because he has everything anyone could dream of, apart from the presidential power, and which is not a must you attain. You control the entire southwest. That is good enough. In that situation too, if you don't have a better understanding, I will tell you things Awolowo did. You can't rub it away finally as if Awolowo is a bad person. Awolowo started the free education, which I acknowledge. Awolowo built the cocoa house, I think the tallest in Nigeria at some point in Ibadan, and a couple of other things. It made people see why we should invest in agriculture. But apart from this, I will count things as Tinubu has done for you too. But you need a better understanding of history to know that to an extent, Awolowo is actually instrumental. Is actually instrumental to deny the Yoruba land some things while he was working for the Hausa Fulani administration, just like Nnamdi Azikiwe. You see, all these people have been praised over time, and of course, they can't be flawless. They are humans. But even though that they are humans, there are some things that you just feel that, because the way they portray these people, you see, when they portray, there are people that I'm not trying to be ethnical. When they are still talking, I will still talk about Muritala Mohammed very well. I will talk of him very well. He was a good president with a limited time. So I'm not trying to pick on any person. I'm a Yoruba person, so why would I want to go against Obafemi Awolowo? I'm just trying to get this. Trying to put these things together. You see, seek of your opinion. If you are free, read through them online. If you have some what's it called, contradictions to what I've said, let me understand. And taking it back to that's a brief about Tinubu, comparing him to Awolowo, because a lot of people paint Awolowo as if it's flawless, just as it will be in future, because our lack of understanding of history. That is how it will be for Tinubu in years to come, decades to come too. So taking it back to the Civil War time, the Civil War started because after the Civil War started, the Nigeria government we're not expecting Biafra to take the first launch. Biafra started from Ore, from Benin. They wanted to penetrate to Lagos, and they caught the Nigeria army off guard. And for a while, I would acknowledge the fact that Biafra did a good job until Awolowo, and because of Odomego Ojukwu was a paranoid person, which is very common in leaders of wars, because it gets to a point it's hard to trust people because you don't know who is snitching on who. So that affected them. You see the likes of Muritala Mohammed, Muhammadu Buhari, Obasanjo, and lots more were pushed, okay, because there was a way it was segmented. Some penetrated from the Nigerian army, some penetrated from Ore, some penetrated from Onitsha, but they were being pushed back at the beginning of the war. They pushed them back to an extent. It got to a point, the airport the Biafra were using during the time, there was no way you are going to know a plane lands there. You can't even call it an airport. They cover it with a whole lot of bushes, and when it's time to land, they take over the leaves, it drops, they cover it back. That is how much the government has restricted them, has limited them. And why I'm talking about this thing is because this issue is brewing again. We are on the verge of another civil war in Nigeria. You see, when it happened then, people will always say, it won't get to that point. Nobody wants to die. But dramatically, the intensity of things are getting higher every day in this country. And when I even still speak with a couple of friends, they'll be like, nobody won't die. Nobody won't die. Like, nobody wants to die. But when it gets to that point, you are speaking for yourself. It has gotten to a situation whereby in 2 days you cannot there will always be a news about insecurity issues. in any part of it, every day in 24 hours, in less than two places in the country, there must have been an unknown gunman attack, or some set of bandits, or some set of people attacking a police station, and we care less about these things. And this was how the world should have been avoided at first. Now, before the war and everything, and when the war started, there were a couple of meetings that were held to settle this dispute among the east and the north. Then there was the Aburi Accord and stuff. But in regards to all these things, the meetings were not fruitful. Even though Ojukwu said at some of the meetings that Gowon did like a good person, he acted like, and then when he got back to Nigeria, he continued with what he has promised to change on, and several of that. But I would tell you directly that we would not be here if Buhari was is a proactive person, in the sense that when Oshibanjo was representing the president and the president was not around, and he was taking the position of the president of the nation, he went to the east, gave themselves preferential treatment, attended to the couple of their needs. People are saying, if you as a president, you feel some zones are feeling left out in your governance, it is for you to go there, or to choose some set of representation, or representative rather. Speak to them, see how you can come through. Some facts, let me tell you, when the applies from people and the pressure is so high, and you know that you go to that zone, for example, and you have a proper meeting with them, you calm them down, that you come through for them. This is what you will do. These are charity. This is what politicians do most of the times. And what will you stop you from doing this if it will avoid a war? If it will stop a war from happening here? Promise them this is what you will do. This is what you do. Out of 5, if you can keep up to 2, they are countless, or they are numerous vital positions in the presidency, which are all filled with northerners. And people are clamoring. You are hearing, you are acting as if you don't. You see, there is to still come to a situation of a classless society, in the process of classless society, in the sense that there was a school of thought that after the proletariat and the bourgeoisie are the have, and the proletariat and the have not, after they have been pushed to the after some tussles in the society, there's going to be a revolution, and it will make everybody classless. There's nobody richer than anybody. You get my point? But that on the side, you see when the security, Nigeria is filled, as you can see, the security issue is one of the major issues right now. And there's something called a social contract theory, in the sense that before the state started, the Nigerian state or any state started, the people sat together and they felt like, okay, before then, there's this mind called right, a societal setting that the more powerful I am, the more I will rule you. If I'm more powerful, if I'm stronger than you, I can take your property, I can take your wife, I can do this, I can do that. If you're more powerful than me, you can acquire those things from me. So it is mind was right. This was how it was then. That is why you see that some set of people will fight a neighboring nation a war. Conquest war. When you conquer that place, you become the owner of that place. But then, there was a need for a social contract theory. The contract that stipulated that you will be, there are some set of people who call government. This government, you are in charge of our governance. You secure our life and properties. We surrender all our powers to you. You make sure nothing happens to our children and our properties. And you take care of us, and we will let you lead us. It has gotten to the point that the contract now is being breached. There's no security of lives and property anymore. But then you still want to keep leading us. The only way to work well is if you are leading us, or if you are protecting our lives and properties. It will be easy for us to let you lead us, because you are keeping to your side of the contract. We will keep to our side of the contract. But in a situation where you are not keeping to your side of the contract, and you are angry that we are rebelling against that, or we are angry against that, and we are pushing against that, it is coming to a situation whereby the state is failed already. And that is when you see the likes of Sunday Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu. In a sane society where the government is being effective, you would never see a person like Sunday Igboho being that influential and powerful. If the governance is being done accordingly and things are going the way they ought to go, you would never see anybody following Igboho. They'll just, people will be like, what are you looking for on the streets? Me, I'm living a good life. But then you, because of your ineffectiveness, you are adding more value so to some non-state actor that sees that as an opportunity to probably fight for their people or for their personal, but then they know what the people want. They say it to their ears for them to hear, and they follow. But people like Sunday Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu would never be effective in a country where the governance is effective and where the administration are delivering their social contract between them and the citizens. I think I'm over 20 minutes. I'm trying not to pass 20 minutes I think I'm over 20 minutes already. And I hope in the next episode, hopefully it would not take so much time. This took the first one before the second one. And from there we'll continue, we'll get better. I hope the lighting is better. I hope I added more English. That were glasses that I was using in episode 1. Maybe we'll use it in the, but you know that quote where I use it, I say the mind of the oppressor is the tool of the oppressed, like that. I use that one cover as soon as I would think say I'll be scholar. You understand? It's a code word. Get a hoodie. Thanks guys.